Okay, so I think we can start, and whoever joins in the meantime joins. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this BioCOGEN 2030 webinar. BioCOGEN 2030 is a stakeholder community dedicated to biomass-based combined heat and power CHP systems, which has been launched by partners of two European projects, Blaze and SmartCHP. It aims to foster knowledge exchange, gather feedback on research and development activities, and enhance networking in the area, with the overall mission of increasing the share of bioenergy in the cogeneration market by the end of the decade. As part of this platform, we have organized quite a number of webinars, and today's webinar will focus on the role of CHP and bioenergy in the current energy crisis. The current crisis represents a major challenge for Europe, but also an opportunity to increase necessary efforts to accelerate the green transition and secure its energy autonomy. To face this unprecedented challenge, the European Commission has recently published its plan to accelerate the energy transition and lower its energy dependency. This plan is known as the REPowerEU package. Is made up of different strategies, legal documents, guidelines, and focuses on saving energy and replacing fossil fuels with clean energy on one hand, while on the other hand, finding replacement sources of fossil fuels and building new fossil fuel infrastructure. Effective implementation of bioenergy and cogeneration solutions can represent a significant role in reaching European energy objectives. However, the full potential of these solutions is still quite unexploited, and the current plan is remaining quite vague concerning the use of these solutions. The webinar will discuss the importance that bioenergy and cogeneration represent for making European energy cleaner, more efficient, and less dependent. It will also provide insights into innovative biomass HP solutions developed within the two EU-funded projects, which are actually co-managing this platform, SmartCHP and Blaze. And now just a short overview of what is BioCHP 2030. So as you can see, it's a stakeholder forum on small and medium scale CHP from biomass. The objective of this forum is to gather stakeholders who are interested in the field, to share knowledge and to promote innovative solutions, support dissemination of the solutions developed within the two projects, but also beyond. We have different focus areas, such as biomass characterization, process development, market assessment, and barriers, standardization, but also biomass feedstocks. We have done webinars on many different topics previously, and you can find recordings on the websites of the two projects. I will share the links afterwards in the chat box. As I said previously, the platform is co-managed by two EU-funded projects, Blaze and SmartCHP. And we send regular newsletters, surveys. We have a dedicated page on our project website. We also created a LinkedIn account. We do regular webinars and workshops on the different topics, linked to cogeneration and specifically biomass cogeneration. But we have extended quite a bit our focal area over the months. And to register, it's quite simple. Actually, there is a simple Google form on the website of our projects. You can just fill it in, and then you'll be included in the list, and you will start receiving invitations, our newsletters, surveys, and you will be able to participate in the different meetings and events we are organizing. So I will share the link as well in the chat box. So those of you who are not registered, don't hesitate to be a part of the community. Now, just quickly, technicalities. I'm quite sure that most of you are quite familiar with this, since this is the period of webinars. But still, just quickly. So the presentations and the recording will be made available to all participants. The recording will actually be published on the project website, so you'll be able to view it anytime. You are in listen-only mode, so please use the question box for your questions. We will ask them to the speakers after the presentations or at the end of the event, and they will answer them afterwards. And now the agenda, I will give the floor to Giulio Poggiaroni from UBIA, who will present the speakers and the agenda. So Giulio, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Martin. And we're quite happy of this new webinar, because actually now we are almost by the BioCOGEN platform is almost 2 years old, and we have managed to group a nice network of stakeholders and people active in this quite niche topical area. But now with the current situation, it's becoming a bit it's becoming more evident that it's not niche, and we should talk about more. We should talk more about these topics. So today we'll be joined by Ennio Prizzi, Policy Officer at Bioenergy Europe, and also by Norbert Vasen, colleague of mine at EUBIA, project manager at EUBIA, and also expert on energy efficiency. And we will go through their presentations, and then there will be some space for reflections and answering to questions. So to introduce Ennio's presentation, I wanted to start from 2 points that are mentioned in the REPowerEU plan. Actually, the REPowerEU plan focuses on 4 main actions that the EU should take to reduce its dependency from fossil fuels coming from Russia. And the first 2 are saving energy and diversify supplies. And I think these are very, very linked to what we're talking today, because in my opinion, CHP systems are very good examples of energy efficiency, because they produce at the same time electricity and heat. And also diversifying supplies. There's a lot of unexploited potential for of biomass in Europe, especially residual biomass, agricultural residues that are left in the fields or simply not used or burned. And we should really make a wise use of this biomass. So without further ado, I will give the floor to Ennio, who will guide us through the REPowerEU plan and its pros and cons, let's say. Ennio, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Giulio. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the introduction and for having me today. I'm going to share my screen with my presentation. Okay. I believe that you are able to see my presentation. So today I would like to talk about the role of bioenergy within the REPowerEU plan. I'm Ennio Prizzi, Policy Officer at Bioenergy Europe. Quickly, Bioenergy Europe, we are based in Brussels. We are the voice of the European industry at the EU level. We made around 200 members coming from more than 34 different countries. And between our services, we offer EU policy monitoring and influence, market data, visibility, networking, and much more. Here there is a list of our members divided per companies, association, and academia. So first of all, general background, what is the REPowerEU? Well, the REPowerEU is the European Commission plan to end our dependency on the Russian fossil fuels import and accelerate Europe's clean energy transition. Actually, the first communication was published 8th of March 2022, a general communication coming from the European Commission. And during the European Council of the 24-25 March 2022, EU leaders agreed on this communication and asked the European Commission to officially publish and approve a detailed plan, that it was officially approved the 18th of May 2022. We have to consider also that the REPowerEU plan is just another layer of the European Green Deal, our long-term growth plan to reach climate neutrality by 2050. Of course, this ambitious target is also present in the European climate law, as also another target to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by at least 55% by 2030, compared to 1990 level. So both of these targets now are present in the Fit for 55 package of legislation adopted by the European Commission on July 2021. Okay, we are talking about the REPowerEU plan and the role of bioenergy and cogeneration, but how much the EU rely on import from Russia? Well, the EU is reliant on fossil fuels like gas, oil, and coal import for our energy needs, amounting from 57 to 60% of gross energy consumption in the past 5 years. So although domestic production of renewable energy sources improved over the last years, EU remains dependent on import, for example, for natural gas. We can see in this figure and the EU27 energy dependency. For example, we can take into account natural gas. Our production in EU27 of natural gas is 52.3 MTOE, but our consumption of natural gas all over the EU27, it's more than 300. So our share, our percentage of dependency for natural gas is 84%. While if we take into account the biomass, in EU27 we produce 131.5 MTOE of biomass, and our consumption of biomass is more or less the same. It means that our dependency is just 3.5%. In this figure, we can see also the evolution of the energy dependency by fuel type in EU27. And in this figure clearly shows, for example, in looking at the blue line, that 62% of the EU27 energy is imported, an increase of 4.6 percentage points since 2000. While if we take into account the green line here on the bottom, there is a very low and stable rate dependency in biomass, indicating the application of a best practice in using the local sources. This is because bioenergy is primarily sourced within Europe, and other bioenergy comes from trusted allies, which makes it an important asset concerning energy independence and energy security. So talking about also the share of EU gas import in 2021, and this figure comes from the European Commission, we can clearly see how our import comes primarily from Russia. For the share is 45.3%, and the other we are dependent from also Norway, Qatar, Algeria, US, and other countries. Talking about the REPowerEU, as Giulio already said, we have 4 different key actions. So saving energy, accelerate clean energy transition, diversify our energy supply, and of course, smart investment. In particular, we are talking about increase our EU energy efficiency target from 9 to 13%. Also, the European Commission created a new external energy strategy. Concerning the renewable energy sources, there is an increase in the target for renewables from 40 to 45%. And of course, now we have a vision, but we need the money to implement this vision. So the European Commission provided the additional investment of 210 billion euro between now and 2027. And also they suggested to member states to add a new chapter in the recovery and the resilience plans specifically dedicated to the REPowerEU. But in which way the REPowerEU, of course, will reach this renewable energy sources target? As I said, there is an improvement in the share of renewables in the final energy consumption from 40 to 45%. The Renewable Energy Directive will be amended to speed up the permitting procedures. There are a lot of also a target for example, for heat pumps, for the wind energy, an entire strategy specifically dedicated for the solar energy, with the 3 initiatives: the European Solar Rooftop Initiative, the EU Large Scale Skills Partnership, and the EU Solar Industry Alliance. So in the REPowerEU plan, we can see objectives and targets for most of the renewable energy sources. And we have to have in mind that the REPowerEU does not modify the ambitions as explained in the European Green Deal to become climate neutral. But in this figure, we can clearly see here in the energy mix as that bioenergy is already in the right path to become climate neutral. So there is a clear compatibility of bioenergy with the climate neutrality. So now talking about the role of bioenergy within the REPowerEU plan. So in the first communication published in March, bioenergy was completely overlooked within the first communication, looking also at its potential in the biomethane. But the communication was afterwards followed by an updated plan where bioenergy was acknowledged to be the main renewable source in Europe, accounting for 60% of the renewable energy sources mix, but still lacking a concrete targets and objectives. So as we can see here, I put just the short paragraph in the REPowerEU plan concerning the bioenergy. Actually, it's just a sub-paragraph after the paragraph dedicated for biomethane. So the European Commission, we welcome the vision of the European Commission to accelerate the deployment of the renewable energy sources. But with the Commission failing to consider bioenergy properly, we are missing a huge opportunity to ensure energy security and supply European citizens with renewable heat at an affordable cost in the next winter. And considering only biomethane in the plan represents just one fraction of the vast range of supply and potential of the sector, which is supplied with feedstock coming from agriculture, from forest, from residues, and also waste management from several industries. And we should also consider that bioenergy is essential for a sustainable energy transition, making a larger contribution to the European GDP than all other renewables combined, supplying over 700,000 direct and indirect jobs across more than 50,000 business. Bioenergy provides also more than 49% of all jobs in the European renewable energy sources industry. So sustainable economic growth will largely rely on the sector's ability to provide an inclusive and accessible transition for all European citizens. And if we have a look also at the latest IPCC report, we can see that bioenergy play a key role in climate change mitigation because it offers concrete and available solutions to substitute fossil fuels in all sectors of society, including heating, transport, and industry. Also, as I said, bioenergy is primarily sourced within Europe and trusted allies, which makes it an important asset concerning energy independence and energy security. And in the end, bioenergy brings several co-benefits for nature conservation through sustainable forest management, which contributes to more healthy and resilient forests. So we strongly believe that all the renewable energy sources have their role in the plan to play, of course, to have a role in this change. And the European Union must send now a strong signal and stop hesitating on the concrete role of bioenergy in this change. I would like to conclude my presentation also with an exercise that we made at Bioenergy Europe. Actually from the advocacy department and also another department in the Bioenergy Europe, we made this exercise just to compare the target in the REPowerEU plan for other renewable energy sources with our target. Actually, there is no target for bioenergy within the REPowerEU plan. So as we see later, we just took a target coming from an implementing act from the European Commission. For example, for the solar PV energy, we can see that the European Commission is set a target for 2030 of 600 megawatt. But now, from the source is the Eurostat, the production of solar PV in Europe is just 136.1 megawatt. So to reach this target, it means that the industry in the solar energy power should grow for the 60% every year. The same for the wind energy. The target for the settled by the European Commission is 610 megawatt, but now the production in the 2020 is just 177. So it means a growth of 11% each year. For the heat pumps is the same, to reach the target as they are settled in the REPowerEU. The heat pumps industry should grow for the 11% each year. But talking about also, while considering the hydrogen strategy, we don't have clear data concerning the production of green hydrogen. So we can just have a look to this figure coming from Hydrogen Europe, but maybe in the next month, next years, we can have a clearer picture concerning the hydrogen production, the green hydrogen production. While talking about bio-based solutions like biomethane and biomass, we can see that for the biomethane, the target set by the European Commission is the 35 BCM. So it means a growth of 27.85% per year coming from the biomethane industry. While for biomass, as I said, considering that we don't have a specific target in the REPowerEU, we just took into account a previous target from an impact assessment coming from the Commission staff working document. And we can see that to reach the target of 166 MTOE, the biomass and bioenergy sector should just afford a growth less than 2% per year. So it's clear that we are already in the good path to reach our target and to become climate neutral. So this one is just to have a clear picture of the role of the bioenergy within the REPowerEU. Actually, we don't have an effective role in the moment. We hope that the European Commission maybe could open and could ask for an impact assessment on our role to play within the REPowerEU plan. Thank you for your attention, and we are here for more information or for your questions.
Thank you, Ennio. That was a very clear presentation and also could spark a lot of discussions and reflections. And so we now move from the, let's say, macro level to more to the field, and would call upon Norbert. Norbert, can you switch on the camera and the microphone and share your screen? So Norbert will present more in detail the features of cogeneration systems that we are developing in the SmartCHP and Blaze projects, which are, let's say, one of the implementations of the use of bioenergy in Europe. And we'll see how this could be a very important solutions to decarbonize specific sectors and also achieve the objectives set up in the REPowerEU plan, although the REPowerEU plan doesn't focus a lot on this. So Norbert, the floor is yours. Put full screen and you can go.
That's okay. Right, view full screen. Okay. You don't see it slideshow. Okay. It's now okay?
Yeah, now it's fine.
Okay. Okay. So we'll talk about two new BioCHP technologies. it is Blaze. You see my mouse and SmartCHP. And they are both CHP technologies working on biomass. Okay, so here's a webinar overview. So we go through different aspects of the this BioCHP, and you will see always here on the in the corner you will see a thumbnail of this, so we know where we navigate. Okay, so the two CHP projects supported by the European Commission's Horizontal 2020 Research and Innovation Program, they are the SmartCHP and the Blaze. As we saw, they are clustered in the BioCOGEN platform and also its founders. And SmartCHP is, well, it is a smart combined heat and power, and it's based on small-scale cogeneration unit based on a modified diesel engine, and also an appropriate conversion from the normal biomass input to a bio oil. And we have here 10 partners of from 6 countries, and here's the website. And then we have also Blaze, which means biomass, low cost, advanced, zero emission. And that's really quite other technology. It is gasification of this, I think the same kind of biomass we will see later, in a fluidized bed with fuel cells on high temperature, solid oxide fuel cells. And we have here 11 partners from 4 countries. And this is the website. Okay, the context we talked, my previous presenter talked already about the EU policies. There's the Fit for 55, which is a more environmental focus. And we want to reduce 55% of the greenhouse gases from 1990 to 2030, and that is in 8 years. And where are we now? Well, if I don't, if I'm right, we are at 25% a quarter. So that means we have still 30% to go on in these 8 years. And luckily, let's say, luckily, there is a lot of pressure now. And we hope that this pressure will help us to make this jump of 30% in 8 years. Then we have the REPowerEU, and that's more political, market and economical focus. And well, the first part of the REPowerEU is a response on the COVID. That was an economic crisis, and they said, okay, every crisis is also an opportunity, and we will come out of this crisis in a green way. So we will put on the green motor, and we will come out of this crisis. And then we had this conflict, this new conflict since the 24th of February between Russia and Ukraine, and that added still some problem of security of supply. It has a very funny abbreviation, security of supply. It is SOS. So, okay. And one part, as we saw before, is natural gas, but it's only one part. There's also oil and coal. And the European Commission is still discussing about it, what they want to do exactly there. But with natural gas, we want to go from 155 billion cubic meters sold from Russia to the European Union in 2021. We want to go to zero before 2029. So that is a big issue. Okay, just to put this in perspective with the biomass which we have available in the European Union territory, let's say 1 cubic meter of natural gas is more or less 2 kilograms of wood pellets. And wood pellets is, let's say, an intensive and rich kind of biomass. And other types of biomass have a little bit less of this energy. But okay, in Blaze, we made a study of all the kinds of biomass which is available on our territory of the EU in a form which is usable, it's suitable for Blaze, and I think it's also suitable for Smart CHP. I am from the Blaze, but okay, I know Smart CHP more on a second level. But I think the same kind of biomass which are for Blaze can also be suitable for Smart CHP. And then if you take all these kind of biomass, you take the lower heating value of each type of biomass, and you multiply it with the amount of biomass which we have in tons, and we sum all those parts together, then you get more or less in the direction of 700 million tons of biomass, which is, if you calculate it with this, not with this formula, but with the LHV of those types of biomass, you get on 270 billion cubic meters of gas, so 180% of the gas import from Russia in last year. So that's only natural gas. This import of natural gas, it's not oil and it's not coal, and it's also not energy import, fossil fuel import from other countries, but we see it is a big chunk of energy which we have on our own territory. Moreover, this many types of biomass are today a problem because there's a waste problem. If now we calculate the cost of preparing all these kinds of biomass, which we'll say later, and we calculate how much it costs to prepare it for our BioCHP, then we come and we calculate it back to natural gas. Then we are more or less at 6 cents per cubic meter of natural gas. These are calculations which I made myself, so we can discuss it. But I took care of my calculations, and I think this is an interesting result. Okay, now we get to the objectives. So why do we want to make BioCHP work? Okay, one objective is that we want to move CHP from the fossil fuel sector, from gas and oil, to a wider fuel input, and to leverage, to apply also all these kinds of biomass which we see here, which is agricultural residues, forestry residues, organic waste. And organic waste, let's say that is, for example, the manure of the agriculture, is also the kitchen and restaurant waste. Just to give a small example, in my personal life, I bought a system which will transform our kitchen waste to biogas, to natural, very, very natural gas. It's still more natural than natural gas. And we can cook 1 or 2 hours per day. But just to show that it is possible, even in our small lives, in our families. And then you have also selected household and industrial waste, because if you look to all the waste we have in the industry and in the households, then we have, if you look to from the chemical point of view, we have organic and inorganic waste. And organic type of waste is, for example, plastic, cardboard, paper. It is also, for example, tires of the cars. It's all made of organic materials. So this is part of household industrial waste can also be gasified and I think maybe also transformed into bio-oil. Okay, another objective is to have a more reliable programmable energy supply, because we know wind and sun electricity power is very important and will grow much, but it's not so programmable. And with biomass, which can be stored, it can fill the gaps in the supply, in the time gaps, and it will in this way stabilize the grid, which is very important. Another objective is we want to go towards smaller scale. in such way enable small and medium consumers to join the party and become prosumers, so producers and consumers at the same time. That's important because we cannot always say to the governments and to the big power plants, okay, do it and give us our energy. Now we can also participate as small and medium users to contribute and to energy, because the big markets, they are really able to let it happen. Another objective is to create more genuine own energy, which is on our territory, and become independent. We want also to create a cleaner world. This is an important objective. And we want to combine energy efficiency with renewable energy, because sometimes we are talking about renewable energy, other times we talk about energy efficiency. But with bioenergy, BioCHP, we can combine it. CHP is usually a typical energy efficiency technology, and I will explain this here. Okay, this is a schematic representation of the transition from the right side, conventional methods, to the left side, CHP. And what do we have here? The conventional methods is to meet the heat demand with the boiler, and the meet to the power electricity demand with a big power plant with losses of, let's say, 60% or more. And if you sum this up, then 40, 160, 100, and 165, you come to 465 units of input energy from here, fuel, to arrive at 160 plus 100 is 260 units of energy for heat demand and power demand. Now let's do a trick. We take this power station, we move it from here to here, and then we have this 100 units for power demand. That doesn't change, but we take these losses and we insert, we plug them into the heat demand. We have still some losses, but okay, we have at the same time, we have this power station meeting power and heat demand. And if you have a big grid of city, how do you call it, the distributed heat, the heat grid, then you can do that. But if you want to move this game from of CHP to the smaller and medium users, then you have to make smaller units and allow them to do the same. So what do we have? We have this amount of energy, 65, 160, 100. We come to 325. And that means we save 30%. And that's why CHP is a typical energy saving technology. Okay, so now if we have put here BioCHP, then we combine the renewable energy with energy efficiency, which is a very good thing. Okay, now we go to the two technologies. We compare Blaze with all the CHP. And what we have here, we have all this kind of biomass. We put them into a gasifier, a dual bubbling fluidized bed gasifier, which contains, in this case, and therefore it is very advanced, also a cleaning mechanism with catalyzer, etc. So what we have is we have a raw syngas made of hydrogen and CO, so carbon monoxide, and also some other things. How is this made? We put some air, not much. We put it together with the biomass, and then only a part of this is burned, and the rest it cannot burn because there's not air enough. And then we get this raw syngas. And with the steam, we can also convert the CO, and we will convert CO plus the steam into still more hydrogen and CO2. And then we have nearly all hydrogen, and we put it into our fuel cell. Then we have electricity without moving parts, without engines, without generators, etc. We have electricity, but we have also heat from this fuel cell, but also from the gasifier. So we have here our CHP, electricity, power, and heat. Okay, so the main parts are here the fuel cell here and the gasifier. And okay, that is one way to do it. And then we go to SmartCHP. And what we have here, we have the engine, let's say a normal diesel engine with a generator. So that's all seems very normal. But we modify this engine in a way that it can run on bio oil. And this bio oil is the BO of here. And the FP is fast pyrolysis. That means I imagine that the same kind of biomass which we put into Blaze can be used also here. Correct me if I'm wrong. So here the new parts, the advanced parts are here, this converter and this modified engine. And then we have here also a boiler in which allows us to change the ratio between electricity and heat. And okay, so that is the SmartCHP in comparison with Blaze. And if we compare these two technologies with the with the normal CHP, what do we see? We fulfill the objectives of the previous slide 5, because the input is different. From the fossil fuel, we go to the solid biomass residues, and they can fill supply gaps in wind and solar, because we are talking about biomass which can be stored. The size of the plants are between 25 and 5,000, where also SmartCHP is included. So we are really from smart to medium power. So really the market can join the party and become prosumer. Electrical efficiency is also very okay. With the cost, we are at, for Blaze, we are at €4 per electric kilowatt for investment, and at 5 cents per kilowatt hour of operation costs. And then if you calculate this, we are at a production cost of 10 cents per kilowatt hour. And then with SmartCHP, we have a cheaper installation. We have a little bit more expensive operation cost. And I think that's due to the fast pyrolysis, which is needed to prepare this bio oil. So what I can imagine, and please correct me afterwards in the discussion if I'm wrong, what I can imagine that SmartCHP with this low investment cost and a little bit higher operation costs could function very well for operation times, for example, during business or shopping times from 2,000 to 3,000 hours a year. And Blaze might be interesting if we run also more, maybe also less, but also more for where the operating cost must be low. Okay, that we can discuss later. The availability of both technologies is that we are in development and demonstration. Just look, we are at 20 minutes now. So we have a way to go. The emissions of these new technologies will certainly be scrutinized by the authorities. And I think that's normal, that must be done. But I want also to say we must be fair, and we must compare this with alternative waste treatment, like incineration or rotting. For example, if you have a tree which falls down in a forest, and it will be by the small animals transformed into methane, which is I think 40 times as bad as the CO2, then that is also a bad thing. So we must make a little bit, we must move on with these technologies, and we must not only put red tape. Then you have also the plant hazard risk. That is also, we have new technology. We must be careful with this new technology, of course, but we must move on. Okay, the SWOT. We have here the internal intrinsic plus and minuses, and we have here the external plus and minuses. So the strengths are that we have an energy efficiency and renewable combined in two technologies, sorry, and we are running on our own resources. The weaknesses are that heat and power are produced at the same time, so that is not so flexible as we would like, and it's also not a known technology. So the external plus point is that we have a global political situation, as I said, security of supply, and this crisis is like a kind of opportunity. It will give us a bootstrap to move on. We have also a growing awareness on sustainable development. We have a price of conventional energy going up, but we have also problems with waste, and we are also contributing to this solution. Threat is that the market is still lazy, busy, or overwhelmed. You choose the term. The price may fall again in a few years, and if investors are expecting that, then they will keep their money. Another threat is, well, the worst case scenario is that there will be an incredible crisis in that we just don't stop thinking about these opportunities, and we think only about our meal of tomorrow. That's the worst case, as I said. So where are we now? I still 3 minutes. We have 500 hours with the SmartCHP run on first bio-oil. First bio-oil is bio-oil. And SmartCHP is also looking to kind of users in the market which can be suitable for this kind of technology. With the Blaze, we have 100 kilowatt electric pilot plant in a container which we want to be up and running in the end of the year. We experiment with contaminants because the contaminants are not good for the fuel cell, how they form during the gasification, and how we can clean it. Okay, we have also to select the biomass in order from one side that they are suitable for the technology, but from the other side, we want our 270 equivalent billion cubic meters of gas. And we are also making and running models for simulation. The future, okay, it might take 5 years to find the plants on the market. What I highly recommend is the combination of thermal energy storage, electrical, but also thermal energy storage, because we are talking about combined heat and power, and they are always at the same time. So if you are not able to use it at the moment, both at the same time, you must or store it or you must discard it. And I think a big success factor will be if we can store also the thermal energy storage. For example, you have ice banks, or you have heat storage in water tanks or other kinds of storage, because in this form you have also security of supply. If you have a big ice storage, as I saw in the industry, with 1400 kilowatt hours of ice storage, which they used because they could not meet the demand of cooling the factory with the 300 kilowatt chiller. Then if you have this thermal storage, you are able to put this storage and with small pumps, with the modest pumps, you can pump all this cold around in the factory or in the food industry or in a hotel or in a hospital, and that is security of supply. I think it's a very good, we must think about thermal energy storage really to bring CHP forward. Another thing which I want to recommend is we must, like SmartCHP did, they were looking to a market. Where are our ideal clients? That are clients which today have a problem and which are also willing to take a little bit a risk because they have, for example, food industry. They are very, they fear that there will be 3 weeks of heat wave or there will be a blackout, and they really cannot afford to throw away millions of liters of milk or so, or in hospital they need their cold. And if these kind of ideal users are also close to biomass source, you have ideal clients which can join an experiment, and they will form a lighthouse example, which can then be communicated, disseminated to other kind of users. And municipalities are in rural or forest areas, they can also join the party because not only can they help to overcome the regulatory barriers, but they can also say, okay, we need energy, and with the private sector, we will make a power purchase agreement, and we will give you, private sector, this security of 20 years of income, because we will buy your energy. And so municipality must also be part of the game. And then we will hope that politicians will be more aware of the potential of BioCHP, and with all the pressure we have today, we will hope that that they will move on, and maybe we can help them. They should make a kind of task forces to overcome the hurdles and convince with strategic arguments how we can go forward with the BioCHP. Okay, I thank you very much for your attention, and I hope that it was clear, and if not, you can ask your questions.
Thank you, Norbert. Oh, yeah, it was very interesting and clear, especially also at the point it was very important to mention the applications. So the food industry should really look at these kind of solutions to decarbonize and reduce their energy dependency, given the fact that there are a lot of waste in our society. And I have the idea that this situation will accelerate the run for circular economy solutions, or careful handling and collection of waste and bio-waste. And yeah, I have perhaps a question that I don't know, maybe both Ennio and Norbert could answer. It is we have mentioned that there is a lot of unexploited biomass available in Europe, either agricultural residues or bio-waste of any kind, from the household bio-waste to the waste produced in the food industry. Do you see, I see at this point a problem in sourcing, because yeah, for the bio-waste, the household bio-waste, we have separate collection schemes which still have to make some improvements in several member states, but we are on a good path. I see a problem still yet to be solved in the collection of agricultural bio-waste, because there you have to put in place systems at municipality and provincial level, systems for collecting this waste, and also give the incentives to the people at the first place producing and making available these residues. So I wanted to ask you about this, a reflection on this, the sourcing of agricultural bio-waste. Do you see any path to solutions or schemes, or do you know about good practices from any member states about this? And if you think that we will get at some point in the near future where there will be a run for bio-waste, so bio-waste will become a very precious resource for which different stakeholders will fight.
Yes, okay. I can respond, okay.
Yeah, then Norbert and then Ennio.
Yeah, okay. What I would think and view, if we have a kind of marketplace, if we have from one side we have technologies like SmartCHP and Blaze, and still other technologies, then we could create from there via internet kind of marketplace where people can offer their waste, and they can see where the demand is and what exactly this demand is. Well, maybe we can say a kind of Amazon for the biomass, and there will the people, the supply side, even the ignorant supply side, which doesn't know anyway what can you do with all this stuff. From the other side, the demand side, like everyone which has a SmartCHP or a Blaze or another kind of thing, they meet each other and they say, I need this, and then you create a marketplace. And I think that will certainly function.
Okay, thank you, Giulio, for the question. Well, you know, for concerning the volatility of gas and electricity prices is not actually a problem for the bioenergy market. In the recent month, bioenergy market has experienced a slight cost increase due to a much higher demand. And the bioenergy industry, is highly diversified, and for this reason, we are asking for a more holistic approach towards the sector. So bioenergy has become just more competitive, and it will continue to grow in Europe, in all of the sector of society. And there is also an unlocked potential of the biomass residues, for example, from roadside management or lands or even from forest management, should be cost effectively utilized to produce renewable energy instead of being left to rot on the ground or burned in an uncontrolled open fires. So yes, and we are experiencing this kind of problem also coming from the agricultural biomass, and for this reason, in the Fit for 55 package of legislation, there are also the Energy Efficiency Directive and the Renewable Energy Directive, and actually the land use is excluded from the go-to areas. So we are pushing a bit to include also rural areas in the go-to areas for the permitting procedures to, of course, help farmers to approach that kind of issues that you are talking about.
Yes, and now we come to this logistic, also to the question of Giulio. All this stuff in some way must come from the farm and from where it is formed and found to some place where it is reformed. And I remember also with the past project with Giuliano Grassi of Eubia, that we were really engaged in a kind of concept that you pelletize many types of biomass, which are a little bit difficult to handle and to store and to transport. But if you already with pretty small or medium pelletizers, you pelletize this on the spot, then from that point on, it will be very easy to store, to maintain without quality degradation, and also to transport to more central places. And that is also a part of the solution.
Okay, I think we we have reached the end of our discussion. We have the two very detailed presentations and also had some space for reflection. Martin, if there are any other questions, I think we could close the session. What do you think?
Maybe.
Yes. If there is only 1 minute, I would like, if there's only 1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Okay. For example, also with the CHP, BioCHP, it's really a hurdle if you cannot store the energy, for example, in a thermal form. Now, I looked on the market also to do my experiments on really on household scale, and to store thermal energy or cold or heat, you need heat pumps from water to water instead of air to air, and it was very difficult to find them water to water heat pumps, and they are really the key. So I was really forced to take a normal conditioner and to dismantle them and to transform them into a water heat pump.
Okay.
And that are the kind of hurdles that I ask. Why is it not easier to make this water to water heat pump? Because they will open the door for thermal storage, and thermal storage will open the door for more flexible application of CHP.
Okay. Thank you, Norbert. Yeah, Martin, please.
Julia, we actually planned it until 12:15, so we still have time for maybe 1 or 2 questions. Maybe just a small remark to.
Yeah, there's a question now.
Yeah.
Will Blaze operate the solid oxide fuel cell with syngas from the gasifier? Is the gas cleanup concept selected and proven? Does the 40% efficiency on SmartCHP include the losses with pyrolysis, or is the bio-oil to electricity? So 2 questions, I think, in one. I don't know if Norbert, can you answer to this?
Well, the 40% is, I'm sure, I'm not really in the technical part of the project, but I could not imagine that they forget it, because if you talk about an efficiency, and every engineer or technical, they take the picture, they put the system border around all the systems, and I'm sure that they arrived at this 40, but also 50% in the case of Blaze of electrical efficiency. And will Blaze operate a soft SOFC with syngas from? Yeah, they will operate the SOFC with syngas from the gasifier. But first, the gas must be clean enough to go into this. And for example, sulfur is not good. You have absolutely to avoid this. And there are also some other things which you can better avoid. But they are taking care of this. That from one time they want, from one side they want to clean the gas from the biomass in such a way that it can go into the fuel cell. From the other side, they want also to avoid types of biomass which contain too much of these contaminants.
Thank you very much, Norbert. I think that Julia is having some connection problems. Maybe, yeah. Okay. Well, I thank you for the presentations.
Yeah.
And I think we can close the webinar if you agree, Julia.
Yeah. Thank you to our guests, and for your presentations. And be sure to subscribe to the BioCOGEN community and stay updated for the next webinars and activities coming up. So eventually we'll be able to organize new physical events finally. And thank you for your attendance, and thank you to our guests, and see you next time.
Thank you very much. See you.
See you very much.
See you.
Have a good summer.
Thanks.
Not too hot.
We'll see about that.